In this spot, we're going to be checking out the Mondo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Leonardo 1/6 scale collectible action figure. So the one that we're going to be having a look at is the exclusive version, which comes with this fallen shredder gauntlet, which you can see has been just mangled with scratches and dents and stuff to it. It's been painted really cool in this silver treatment. I hope eventually that Mondo will give us a full shredder as well, not to necessarily go with the gauntlet, but just this could be a precursor maybe to a future release. If that's the case, I'd be very excited to see this. I don't necessarily say that you would need to get the exclusive by just virtue of getting solely just the gauntlet here, but again, it's a nice included touch. So size-wise, Leonardo stands at about 10 inches, which I guess is an accurate read for him being a 6-scale release. If you factor in that a regular 6-scale figure is about 12 inches, I guess accurately so, 10 inches makes some sense for Leonardo here. He's a beautifully painted piece. Let's get some closer detailed looks at this beautiful figure. Currently, I've got the katanas here in his hands, which fit actually quite nicely. I'll show you guys that in a second. Let's get some close looks at the figure itself. The paint is actually one of the more impressive aspects to this figure itself. Again, we'll get some closer looks at him in a second. Just a head-to-toe look at Mondo's release of Leo here. Let's get the katanas out of his hands. It's actually funny that for how much struggle it takes to get the katanas in his hand, once they sit in his hands, they sit a little on the loose side. But to get them out can be a little bit more difficult, as you got to get them around his very broad fingers. Once you get them out, though, much like every other Leo, you can spin the figure around. And he's got two sheaths. The sheaths, though, when you're putting the swords in, be careful. As soon as you start feeling resistance, stop immediately and just reassess which way you've got the blades going. There's a couple of times I've put them in the sheaths, and you can see that they do stop immediately. Spin them around, yeah, sure enough, after that, they fit in fine, but I did this once already. Putting them in with the direction seeming to go the wrong way, they're very difficult and extremely difficult then to get out. Once you get them properly in, they do slide out fairly easy. And put those to the side. Let's have a look again at the figure. Now we did kind of do a top to bottom here, but let's just get some close looks at the figure itself. I really like the dark wash that they've added just underneath and just above his headband. It certainly brings the blue a little bit further, and by also giving a stark white with the black outlining here, some really comic elements here I like that's being showcased here in Leonardo. Got a wash here also in the front shell portion. The back shell doesn't really seem to have as much that wash to it, but it has the dark green, which is a nice accent coloring, a nice backdrop to the brown strapping, and the sheaths there also in brown. There's Leonardo's tail at the back there as well. Now he does come with an alternate head. We'll kind of get that out of the way as well. The alternate head is essentially, well, it's essentially his existing head, though in the traditional all-red bandana. As the original Turtles appearing in the comics, though black and white, the original bandanas were all red. It's, again, essentially the exact same bandana as the one that's currently on his head. It's just in a red treatment. Taking off the head actually is extremely easy. Just pop it right off. I initially thought it seemed going to be more difficult to take the head off, but very, very easy, as the big ball joint there at the top there. And we just go ahead and replace the head, pop it right back down. As you could probably guess though, because the head is on a ball joint, as big as it is, when you rotate and move his head, sometimes though virtue of just moving it, it does want to pop itself off that ball joint. So you might find yourself a couple of times just readjusting the head and then replacing it back down onto the ball joint. I've also noticed too that the head on the red bandana seems, I don't know, either smaller, does seem like it is somewhat slightly smaller on the side than the blue one here. You might require just a little bit of extra finagling, I think, to either not widen it, but just kind of make it a little bit more of a clearance here. Ultimately, though, I think between the two, the classic would want to stick with the red, but I think I might just go with the blue because they're going to be releasing all 4 of the turtles at one point, with already Leonardo being released. I would want to maybe keep them in their cartoon colors, the blue, the purple, the orange, and the red. The paint seems pretty consistently clean on this figure, except for one section right here. At the back of the figure here, I've got one little speck of blue paint that's been, I don't know, missed from the bandana. It's right there. I mean, it's an area where I'm not going to necessarily see it because I'm not going to be displaying the figures from the back. I can't imagine it could be the case with all of the Leonardos that are going to be released. It might just be solely mine. Let's run through the accessories that come with Leonardo. For starters, he comes with a couple interchangeable hands. The one just defaulted hand that doesn't have any accessories attached to it is a leader pointing finger, which is a nice touch. I mean, you know, if you can have Leonardo just pointing his finger out, maybe a katana in his other hand. These all have little swing hinges here, little hinge pegs. So fairly easy to change out. In fact, let's go ahead and do that now. Pop the arm out of the socket. There we go. And replace it with the existing one, or the one that we're going to use. And you can have Leonardo pointing there. A couple of the other hands that he comes with, now these ones have accessories with them. He has some wall spike climbing hands. A nice added touch there as well. Not really something that they make use of too much in the cartoon. In the comics they do though. A nice paint there in the silver on the spikes, and the brown also. And which I didn't really even touch base on the knee pads, the elbow pads, and the wrist pads. Like basically, are the wristbands. All of them have this really nice brown, but then they've added this dark wash, which is a little bit more easier to see here on the hand. A nice dark additional wash there, just to bring out the little creases and folds there. Included as well, he gets a little sensei, I guess not quite sensei splinter just yet, a little rodent sensei. Good old little splinter there. Paint's nicely detailed again on him. I think actually one of the ongoing trends that I'm noticing with not only Leo, but like all the included accessories is paint. Paint's really good in all these figures. I don't think Mondo actually has done these in black and white, but I'd love to see them also do these, approach these in a black and white treatment as well. Also got a little baby Leo as well. You could just assume it's any one of the turtles, but I'm going to assume myself specifically that each of the turtles will come with their own corresponding baby versions of themselves. None of these have any articulation. Leonardo's baby counterpart here just has very soft, kind of rubbery legs. Splinter is a little bit more of a rigid plastic. There's not really much you can do with him, but some nice sculpted additional pieces there. Let's see what else we got. We got also a hook, a little climbing hook here. You can hold it in his hand. He's also got just the rope that's attached. I just haven't, you know, unwrapped it. You can put that in his hand. He's also got, let's just grab these here. He's got a series of different shurikens, a multi-point shuriken. He's got 2 of those, and then he's got you know, a 4-point shuriken as well, which is painted in the black by contrast to the silver of the multi-pointed one. Lastly, Leonardo comes with, I think this is the Krang, one of the Krang laser blasters here, or Krang species. And again, it's painted nice silver here. Some dark additional washing added to the underbarrel, the front section here, the underside there as well. You could theoretically have Leo holding, he's not going to be holding it right now with his pointing finger, but you could have him holding it, I suppose, if you wanted to as well. As for his posability, let's run through that now. We've already looked at technically his head, so we don't really need to touch base on that again. But again, it's a full ball joint going on there. The back of the bandana also rotates. You know, if you want to have that a little bit higher up or lower down. I kind of like it a little bit higher so you can see it from the front if you display the figure. Shoulders are on a pin and hinge joint, or a half hinge joint, as some people have referred to them as well. So the arms hinge out. You have full rotation going on there. He has a rotation on the bicep. In addition to that, you can bend the elbow, and you can rotate the arm for that as well. Rotate the hand. Essentially, I guess not really the bicep, but the shoulder, there we go, the shoulder, the elbow, and the hand, wrist section, all essentially share the same type of joint, where it can hinge forward as well as the rotation in those three different areas. Legs are a little bit different. They've got that hinge, but it kind of works to the disadvantage that you have to rotate the leg in order to accommodate the hinge to go outward. The leg kind of goes forward and back, but not until you bring the leg completely around that hinge, that little pallet hinge there, the little paddle hinge there, is visible. Then you can rotate the leg forward and back. Nice, good bend in the knee going on there. In fact, he's actually got a double hinge on the knee, right actually underneath the knee pad here. And then he's also got a full range of motion here on the ankle, which allows for an additional rotation going on there. So if you want these guys posing these guys are not a problem. Really overall happy with how Mondo approached the Ninja Turtle line, giving us a nod to the more classic comic versions of the Turtles, which is a nice change compared to a lot of the movies and even cartoon stuff that we've been getting so much lately. The idea and certainly the benefit to these pieces are the sheer size of them. By getting a true 1/6 scale collectible version here of Comic Leo, I'm really happy with how he turned out. He's superposable, he's got tons of paint, and he's got really cool accessories going for him as well. This spot we were checking out the Mondo, which was also the exclusive version. This was the classic comic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Leonardo 1/6 scale collectible action figure. If you guys like this video, by all means, hit the subscribe button down below, and also be sure to check out my playlist as well. You might find a ton of older turtle reviews sitting in there as well. See you guys next time.